Hello, people. Today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to make a product advert photo manipulation. Wow, I'm so excited, super excited about this. If you are excited as I am, let's get into the system.
Okay, so the first thing you're going to do is to open up your canvas, and we're going to be using A4. Our canvas is going to be A4, an A4 canvas. Okay, so you press Ctrl N and go to new document, go to print and go to A4. So it's going to be portrait. The orientation, the paper orientation is going to be portrait. Resolution is going to be 300 pixels per inch, and your column mode should be CMYK. So once you are done with this preliminary settings, you hit create, and we're into our canvas. All right. So the first thing for you to do, we have unlocked our background. Then I can also blind it so that I can create my background, that I will have full control. I don't want to be running to and fro, trying to get one or two things done, maybe through layer style and the rest of it. Okay, so now I've created my background, and I'm going to be bringing in the elements that I want to use in this design. All right, so first of all, let me go to where I have my elements. Okay, this is where we have the elements. The first element I'm going to bring in is this water bottle. I drag it into my Photoshop and drop it in my canvas, scale it down, hold down Shift and Alt to scale it down. Okay, scale it down, then a bit up. Okay, then rotate it a bit, then scale it down a bit. Now we're going to make our background to have the same atmosphere. We're going to make our background to have the same atmosphere with the bottle water, the design of the bottle water. Okay, so what I do is I click on the layer, the layer of the rectangle, which is the background, then come to the tool, then go to fill, click on gradient. Now from here, I double click here, pick this darker shade of blue in this water bottle. If I feel it's not as dark as I want, I can increase the density or the saturation. I can increase the saturation. Okay. Now once I'm done with this, I say okay. Click here, and on the bottle water, I click on the light blue. Okay, you see the transition from darker shade of blue to the lighter shade. Okay, so once I've gotten this, this is the first thing we're doing to blend our bottle with the environment, make our bottle and our background have the same atmosphere. All right, now the next thing for us to do is to go get the next element, which is this, the water splash. Then drag it into the composition. Then this is it. Now, the idea of this particular water splash is to create an illusion that will make it look as if this bottle water is inside this water splash. So first of all, what we'll do is to rasterize, click on the layer of this water splash and rasterize it. Once you rasterize it, get your polygonal lasso tool and cut off a section of the water splash. So I select this particular section and right click and say layer via cut. So I've cut off this section. I can zoom in and zoom out. Okay. All right. So if I move this up, you see that it's now in a separate layer. Okay. Now I want to create the illusion that this bottle water is inside this water splash. So how do I go about it? I have to drag this layer down to be under the layer of the bottle water, while this one remains where it is. This remains where it is, but this will go down under the layer of the bottle water. So I drag it from the layer manager under the layer of the bottle water. So we have it now. The illusion has been created. It's now looking as if the bottle water is inside the water splash. Okay, so the next we're going to do is to get the next elements we're going to be using, which is this. All right, I drag it into my composition, then scale it down, holding Shift and Alt. Okay, then let it be under the bottle water, as if the bottle water landed on it. Okay, and the splash happened. Okay, this is it. Okay, I can decide to pull it in. Okay, and decide to pull it in a bit. Okay, once I've gotten this, I'm good with this. So we've created a good water splash. The next thing for us to do is to select all these layers. I'll hold down Control and select all these layers so I can transform them. Press Ctrl T, or maybe let me take it up a bit and see if I'll. Okay, this is what I want. I don't really need to transform it. Okay, this is it. Now, with all these layers selected, I can decide to link it so that everything will be together, not like merging them, but linking them so that anytime I want to scale or want to work on them collectively, I can do that. But if I want to work on any particular one, if I want to work on any particular layer, I can just click it and unlink it so I can work on it, because if it's not unlinked, every movement I make for any of them is affects every one of the elements. So now that it's linked, if I want to scale this, I end up scaling everything. Okay, that's the implication of linking elements. It makes them become kind of one. You get the Photoshop begin to see them as a single element, in as much as they are individual elements. But anything, any effect you apply on one, most times, depending on the effect, can affect the others. All right, so this is it now. I can decide to select all these elements. Now I want to create a kind of reflection on the background, like a shadow casting down. All right, so I select all of them, press Ctrl J. Okay, once I press Ctrl J, I press Ctrl T, then drag it down to create my reflection. So once I've done that, I go to my opacity and scale it and drop the opacity. Okay, so we have the reflection down there. All right, so once we are done with this, the next thing I'm going to do is to get something like a water background and put in the darker shade the part that has highest saturation of blue. Okay, so I click on my background, go to where I have the elements and drag this element into my composition. So once I bring it in, why I clicked my background before bringing it in, so that it will the layer will be directly on top of the background of the on top of the layer of the background. So that was why I have to click on my background before bringing it in. So once I bring it in, I rasterize it so that to make it editable. Then go to Magic Wand tool, select the white part and delete. Once I do that, I hit Ctrl D to deselect. Then I can zoom in. Okay, I zoom in because of this area that is not quite neat. So I have to use my polygonal lasso tool to crop that part off. Okay, use my polygonal lasso tool to crop it off. All right, so hit delete. All right, the next thing for me to do is to reduce the opacity. I can actually darken it, press Ctrl M, darken the water, make it darker, increase the saturation. Okay, once I've gotten this, I say okay, then I reduce the opacity. All right, so once I'm done, dropping the opacity, I think this is it. Okay, once I'm done dropping the opacity, the next thing for me to do is to write Dansani table water. There may be a slogan, their payoff on top. So now uh, I will maybe have to use Time New Roman to write the name of the table water. This is a product advert photo manipulation. Okay, then sunny table water. All right, so I hit Control T and scale it. Then sunny. Then the next thing I'm going to write is the table water. Okay. Here, Control T, Control Z rather to undo. Okay, it's like the layer of the text is down, so I have to drag it up. Drag it all the way up. All right, so this is it. I think this font is actually not bad. I hold down Alt and duplicate this and write the table water. Okay, table water. Okay. Then scale it down. Control T. And okay, there's a mistake. I have to correct it. Table water. Okay. Okay, scale it down. Control T. Scale it down and move it under. All right. I think this is it. Then the next thing for us to do is to let me duplicate this. Maybe and create a payoff. So refreshing. Okay, you can just write so refreshing. Okay, so refreshing. Okay, all right. This can possibly be payoff. So keep it here, balance it on at the top here. You can decide to increase it, scale it up a bit. You can also decide to use a cursive font. All right. So refreshing. Okay, I think this is good. All right, so all right. Okay, so refreshing. Okay, I think I have some students in their house that are actually in the background and watching the tutorial. Okay, all right. So, is there any recommendation? Is there any recommendation? If there is anything you want me to add to this, you can say it. All right. Now, I think this is it. So, how do we see it? It's cool. All right. I think this is good. Okay, we just balance. It should be what? Up. Okay, but we want to actually say, she said we can actually move so refreshing to the left or to the right. Okay. Um, let me add our offset. Okay.